Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre. This is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000!
My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there.
Don't face me, bro! It's a trap! I'm a fire in my labor! Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man!
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerds Who Know Basis Show, airing on Phoenix 92.5 FM, Spotify, YouTube, and of course our own website. I'm Cian, and with me this week again is Kev. Kev, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Cian. How are you keeping?
I am, for a teacher on summer holidays, I am exhausted because infants are going to infant, I suppose. But before we started recording, you were telling me of something that I wasn't aware even existed. What is D23?
Yeah, D23. I'm surprised, considering we've been a nerd culture podcast. I'm surprised D23 hadn't come up before. It's basically like Disney's yearly expo, like produced entirely like in-house by themselves.
Okay, is this like open to the public, or is this for their like shareholders, or what? I
think it's a public expo you can go to. I think it's a bit of both. I think like you have to be part of like proprietary Disney fan clubs and X and Y and what have you. But it's basically like it's a big like slate and like making the big announcements for like what Disney has cooking. That's the Disney like umbrella now.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I saw the announcements this year are bleak because we all knew it, but Disney have really they've hammered home that the next 5 years is just going to be remakes and sequels.
Well, I mean, people
like,
now admittedly this is anecdotal, but people I know really started turning on Disney. And bear in mind, I work in a lot of drama places, so you're talking dance teachers, music teachers, like for whom Disney very much is their life. A friend of mine has a rucksack themed after every Disney movie. Big Disney types. And they really turned on Disney around the time of Wish. Not because Wish was especially bad, but because for the 100th movie or something along those lines, 100-year thing, it was a bit bland, a bit everything you've seen before. So is this a general sentiment among people you know as well, or in the internet? Or
I'd even say, like, I think it's like it started really before Wish. I think when they really started like putting the thumb on the scales for the remakes was when the fatigue set in.
But he didn't used to be bad. I mean, The Jungle Book was good. I liked the Christopher Robin movie. I think when they have some sort of like unique twist or creative approach, remakes themselves aren't inherently a bad thing.
Yeah, like the Jungle Book's kind of interesting one because the original movie was fairly thin, so adding anything to it kind of empowered something. But then look at the Beauty and the Beast remake, which was already a pretty dense movie, and adding the live action aspect added actually nothing, and if anything, took away with distracting CG. And then they're even just stretching the bounds of live action, quote unquote, with The Lion King, which was just an entirely CG animated movie, which just looks inherently worse.
Yeah, it's with The Jungle Book, at least there was like a live action component, and you could sort of marvel A, in the casting of who's who, and B, how they integrated everything and made it look seamless. So there was that kind of degree to it. But with The Lion King, it is just a cartoon, isn't it? Essentially, it's just just a worse looking cartoon with realistic looking animals that can't emote the way a cartoon can. No, it's bleak.
And they're leaning all the way in that because they've announced, so the live action ones they've announced. Snow White was something we knew was coming. It's coming out, I think, this year. Which like it's giving Hobbit in the worst way. Everything is so oversaturated. It looks terrible.
Right.
And throwing Gal Gadot into that, no, absolutely not.
Well, this is because we were talking a bit about this before, not to get too political or anything, but we were talking about this before we started recording, and this has been something that has been kind of, among the people I know, kind of dreaded for a little while, hasn't it? Like,
it's not dreaded. I mean, it's not going to impact anything. She's still got her claws in Hollywood. But I'm frankly looking more forward to the press tour because she's playing the Evil Queen. Rachel Ziegler is playing Snow White, who she was the lead girl in the Hunger Games prequel that came out last year.
Right.
She has been very outspokenly pro-Palestine. Cannot wait to see just the most tense sets of interviews on the planet. It's going to be glorious.
I mean, look, the world has survived. What is it, Dakota Johnson on the Madam Web tour?
Oh, listen, anything that brings me back to the Robert Pattinson, Kristen Stewart Twilight press tours. They're the gold standard. Oh, they're the gold standards. Robert Pattinson hated being in those movies, and he made it known. But anyway, back to this. So they've announced then. So we're getting a live action Lilo and Stitch. We knew they announced, I think, last year that they're putting out a live action Moana.
Yes, I'm honestly, I'm not surprised, but it feels way too soon with that one in particular.
Absolutely. They've started showing off. Did you know there was a Moana 2 coming out?
I did, which I find confusing. Surely a Moana remake would like kind of usurp a digital kind of proper sequel.
No.
Not that I'm not glad to have it, because Moana's a great movie. It's on in the house all the time.
No, Kian, because here's the thing. The Moana 2 movie, which is coming out this year, is a re-edited 3-part pilot for a scrapped Moana TV series. Disney have admitted this.
So it's like the straight-to-video things of the 90s.
Oh, yeah. Do you
remember Tarzan 2?
It is crazy to me that Disney haven't put any of that stuff on Disney Plus, because I would absolutely watch the Hercules.
Not the hundreds of Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast sequels.
The sequel movies maybe, but those Disney Channel TV series I don't think are.
Because I remember they released the first 3 episodes of the Buzz Lightyear show as a movie that you could get in division and all that.
Oh no, the one I'm looking for the deep cuts. The Hercules TV series was my go-to.
Yes, I've tried to watch that. You can only get it on YouTube.
Yeah. No, that's the stuff I'm looking to see if I can get my hands on through Disney. Again, while the Disney don't put that up, but here we are. But yeah, so and then of the sequels then. So we knew Moana 2. They announced earlier this year that you're getting a Toy Story 5, which that feels like a well that's already been drained.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know anyone who was especially enamored with Toy Story 4, but doesn't seem to be upset by it either.
Well, no, it was a well enough made movie, but 3 was an ending. It
was a great ending.
Oh, we're done, and then we're just going back. And they actually
you know what? No, show set in the girl's house. Fine, but
hold on, no. They've sorry, I also forgot the most immediately dated aspect of it is they've announced what the premise of it is, and it's the toys against iPads.
Oh no.
Yeah. We've also got one that could have some potential. They've announced Incredibles 3, and they have confirmed that Brad Bird is on board on that.
Okay, well, as someone who actually really likes Incredibles 2, I'm looking forward to that then.
I think, that's one where I'm like, okay, that's a sequel that could be good. I was talking
Yeah,
to my
'cause, like,
fiance about this. I think
because you talk about Toy Story 5 and you're like, yeah, the wells run dry. But really, with Incredibles, as long as the quality stays good and the family keeps growing up and you keep exploring that world, you can
that's
pretty much
exactly it.
make as many Incredibles as you want. Like,
That's exactly, you hit the nail on the head there. I do think like they would want to bring things forward a bit.
hmm.
To have any sort of shake up in the dynamic. Have what was the daughter? Maybe Violet be in college. Have Jack actually being a functioning human being and not a baby.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised that's not what they did the first time, but I understand the way they went with it. I actually really like the world building in Incredibles too. I really liked how they leaned into the 60s style and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, I like a bit like Inside Out too. If they age them up a little bit, I think that could certainly work. Like, you know?
It could. And then I think we all anticipated this was going to happen. They've announced Frozen 3, which
Really?
fascinated by. Well, Frozen 2 made nearly the bajillion of dollars that Frozen 1 made. What I'm fascinated by, Frozen 2 felt like such a disjointed, thrown together movie.
Mm.
What's the idea for 3 here then?
I actually quite liked Frozen 2. It reminded me of like those movies in the 80s that were in theory for kids, but were actually secretly kind of traumatizing. I think you could have very easily done a Frozen 2 where Anna just got powers and you just flipped them around. It felt like there was some creative heft to it, even if it didn't like all hang together, like, you know?
That's the thing. It definitely, it felt like there was a good idea, but it never fully developed. It felt like it never got the time to really percolate properly. And they kind of just filled the rest in with a weird musical montage with Kristoff and the reindeer.
Mm. Well, put it this way, like
with
finding
with an odd rom-com angle where Anna and her boyfriend hate each other for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd rather take a messy, interesting movie than like no shade in it, but like Finding Dory was just kind of character swap Finding Nemo, you know? I'll take an interesting mess over a safe, solid, every day.
Yeah, but but what I'm saying is like, considering how slapdash that felt, like what's the premise on 3 here? Other than make a bucket load of more money.
With 3, you've got the luxury of, say, calling it a trilogy, even though it's the 4th could come out. So you can take stuff from 1 and do it again, and you'll be like, the story's coming full circle. Prince What's-His-Face, who was a love interest in the first one, has come back, and he's more evil than ever. And, like, you can just... It's as long as you hit certain beats. Like Toy Story 3 is actually a great example because it does recycle some stuff from 2, but because it gets that third act stuff down so well, you don't mind at all. And I think Frozen 3 can very easily pull that kind of trick. Like have Anna be the one who runs away this time. Like,
Yeah, I with Frozen 3, I'll expect the worst. I'd hope to be surprised.
Right.
And actually, one more sequel they announced, which does have good potential, is Zootopia 2.
Oh, cute. Again, just give them another case. That's another one like Incredibles, where you can just keep telling stories in that world very easily.
Was there a TV series of that, actually? Did that come out?
Not that I'm aware of, no. There was a Monsters, Inc. one, which is underrated in my opinion. I haven't found a Zootopia one yet.
I tried watching that Monsters, Inc. TV series, and it absolutely bored the shell out of me. I could not do it.
You kind of have to stick with it for the gems, but yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, no, sticking with it was. I don't have the luxury of time to be like, yeah, it gets good after 6 episodes when there's a dozen good TV shows from the first episode.
I like Monsters Inc. well enough and the guy from Superstore well enough that I'm willing to be patient. But I get where you're coming from. I just found the premise interesting, which is that, like, actually exploring that somebody who graduated top of his class and being scary has to learn a completely different craft on the days hired. And then, like, it actually puts the time and effort into showing how much of a struggle that is. I kind of There were some boring bits, but I didn't mind that because I found that premise inherently interesting, as I did with both Monsters Inc. movies. Like, I really like the ending of Monsters University.
Yeah, I don't know. I like because yeah, that first movie just was so good at building its world and pulling on its heartstrings with the relationship between Boo and Sully. I feel like it's none of the surrounding media has managed to kind of capture the same thing.
I actually Monsters University has really grown on me. I feel like that's one that's better on repeat viewings because essentially the whole premise of it is like, you can work hard and all that kind of stuff, and sometimes the avenues that everyone else walks by won't work for you. But if you're willing to put in the time and like swallow your pride, you can find your way up. I honestly think like student debt is an issue in America. And like there are plenty, like I'm sure there are plenty of avenues where if you didn't mind slumming it in this job, you could probably work your way up into that job without going down the main expected route. Like this is a kids movie. I like that about it, and I like the characters. Like Oh, by the way, yes, there is a Zootropolis TV show, or at least a 10 minute shorts. So there does seem to be some sort of Zootropolis thingy.
Huh. Weird. It's one of those things I think I remember reading a headline of yonks back. Anyway, going down the list. Finally, in dug amongst the rest, we have an original Disney movie coming out next year.
Oh my god!
Actually, this is one that was known for a while, and I think they actually rearranged the scheduling because of quarterly budgets and shareholding, yada yada. Is Elio, which is a kind of, again, Disney original animated movie about aliens. Not a lot else I think is known about it, or at least like not that I could easily find.
Okay.
But I think the initial plan was that this was going to have been out by now, but they decided to bring Inside Out 2 forward for, money. And I mean, it worked. Inside Out 2 made made millions.
Yeah.
No, but that's like, I listen, I will criticize Disney at every turn for just regurgitating slop. But at least for the most part, their animation studio gets a pass because every other couple of years there's something new. And they might not all be hits. You might get you might get a Wish or Raya the Last Dragon in there, or you might get a Strange World. And you know what? Elemental was actually pretty good. Novel, but like just a very well animated, like
we like that
romance story.
I like the world building there too.
Yeah, and like the animation, like even in its sequels, the animation has been top notch from Disney. They've got 3D CG animation down. We were talking about earlier, Frozen 2 and how I think it is a bit of a mess. The original trailers for Frozen 2 is one of the best movie trailers I've ever seen. That trailer promised such an exhilarating fantasy like adventure movie. With just completely such like fluid dynamic trailers, fluid dynamic animation. So I'll always, and like that, and then and then you'll get like an Encanto as well. Great. No. When Disney put out an original movie, 100%. I like the animation studio gets a pass on that. I just wish that we didn't always then get Mufasa.
It's bizarre to me that someone's trying to make a Mufasa movie, especially when, Lion King 2, that straight to video thing, is kind of well regarded among the sequels.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's in the same way the Lion King is Hamlet. Lion King 2 is Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
Did you hear because they've announced again part of the premise of Mufasa apparently, and I kid you not, Mufasa is adopted into Scar's family.
Oh, how JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
It makes you think, okay, maybe Scar was right to be mad about it when his adopted brother got the throne. You know what? Maybe I'd be mad too.
You know what? I hope this is all building up to some sort of team up with Maleficent and Cruella as played by Emma Stone in some sort of Disney supervillain Avengers. Because why not? That was the highlight of Kingdom Hearts in game one. Just go for broke at this point.
Here's the thing though, Kingdom Hearts was good. That's the difference.
Yeah, but the fun bit was seeing the villains all in a room heckling each other.
Yeah, but I also don't want the villains to be also people I recognize.
Yeah, that's fair. It's funny that you kind of bring up the animation in particular, because we did two things recently. One is we just binged all of the Pixar shorts, the ones they play before the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Over the course. Annoyingly, Disney Plus does not seem to have them in a playlist. They advertise them on the homepage collectively, but you have to manually search or link to one that links to one that links to one. So, and there's some really good ones in there. I don't know what film it's connected to, but there's a lovely elemental type one where it's one stick figure man who has the daytime and one stick figure man who is the nighttime. And you can see the worlds, they pass over each other. And it's kind of like a little romance story. They keep trying to meet each other, but they're at different times of day and all that. The other thing we did was we were watching a lot of the late 90s Disney movies. We did Treasure Planet the other night. And
Treasure Planet is actually way better than a lot of people give it credit for.
I was seeing it for the first time. We did that, and tomorrow we're doing Atlantis: The Lost Empire, whatever it's called. And
Atlantis is gorgeous.
Yeah. What's that?
Atlantis is gorgeous.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I really missed that middle period of Disney where CGI had started, but it wasn't fully integrated. There was still the 2D thing. So you have things like, say, the Hydra in Hercules, or the chandelier in Beauty and the Beast. But then by Treasure Planet, you have 2D people on 2D ships next to 3D whales, and it's all blended really nicely. That is the thing I think we've lost with the full integration into CGI, because there was a little bit of it with Inside Out 2. There was 2D characters in front of 3D, but I really miss that kind of that rough but really interesting kind of experimental energy. What's it called? The Road to El Dorado had a bit of it as well,
Yeah, no, as 3D animation, they were trying to meld it, and they've kind of just they Disney has kind of left 2D by the wayside. But I mean, it's that's to narrow animation as a whole to Disney is narrowing your focus, because you only have to look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and the Spider-Verse movies for wild and creative approaches to animation.
Oh no, everything influences each other. I mean, we wouldn't have all these CG films. I suppose Pixar started the ball rolling, but I would say commercially Shrek made it the standard across the industry,
That's another one on the board for Shrek.
Oh God, the weird movie with Robin Hood dancing in the woods is the gold standard.
Cultural phenomenon. Can't wait for Shrek 5.
Wipe your face. What a weird thing to be a cultural milestone.
Hey, listen, what's that? We're looking 2005, 2006. Yeah, no, people needed Smash Mouth. People needed All Star. People were sick of sincerity.
Oh my God. But I also miss that kind of late Disney period, The Emperor's New Groove, where it kind of felt like Disney was big enough to be experimental, but it wasn't locked into its formula of regurgitating this, that, and the other. The very late Renaissance period, I really like, maybe it's because I was 10 or 11, but like I really missed that when, like, like every movie was original. Like you get a Tarzan, you'd get an Atlantis, and then every now and again you get a Brother Bear. But like it felt like everything could be the new standard. Like, and you don't really have that with Disney anymore. Like,
Yeah, now, to be fair to that, that was also a movie where they were just burning money. Like, that was a company on the verge of bankruptcy. The Disney that made Beauty and the Beast is not the same Disney that made Brother Bear. The Disney that made Brother Bear might not exist today.
well, I mean, Brother Bear isn't even as bad as the one that came after it. The one about the cows
Home on the
trying to win the
Range.
gold.
Yeah. Yes.
What was that called?
Yeah, no. Home on the Range.
Home on the Range. That came out the same year as, I think, DreamWorks also did a movie about a cow on a motorbike. And I remember seeing the ad for that. Like, it was some kind of, maybe it wasn't DreamWorks. It could have been the ones that do Ice Age, but it was some kind of movie. I'm going to find the title of it now.
Barnyard.
Yeah, that was it. And like we saw the ad in cinema,
Barnyard.
and a friend of mine, and like, you have your cow voiced by some American actor doing all his funny things and all that. And after he's done his breakdancing and the trailer's done, like my friend of mine leads over and goes, "The people who made this knows that cows are girls, right?"
Credit to Disney. They at least remember that one fact.
I mean, Home on the Range got that right.
Oh, good gravy. Yeah, no, that company was about to die. And then
Barnyard, you're right, yes.
I can't even remember what
it's
it was. I think Tangled finally got them out of like.
Well,
out of
Princess and the
recess.
Frog, they tried the old-fashioned animation thing, and I guess that didn't make the money. So
Yeah, no, Princess and the Frog was
that was starting the alleged new renaissance. Yes.
Yeah. Tangled, I think, was the first kind of smash, and then Frozen got them to the point where they could buy Star Wars.
I could be wrong, but it was Tangled, then Frozen, then Zootopia, then Moana. And the reason I remember is because very helpfully in Zootopia, there is a section where like the rat guy has Disney bootlegs on the table, and they have their phase on the bootleg table going all the way up to Encanto in order. Like, so it's like, oh, that's handy. That'll keep it straight in my head.
Nice little chart.
See, Marvel, that's how you would out your phase 4.
Yeah. Through bootleg DVDs. Okay, so I suppose to get back to the topic at hand.
Yeah.
So that was all the Disney stuff. The Marvel stuff, pretty much nothing. I think they kept a lot of the Marvel announcements for San Diego being the comic convention, so not a lot there.
Yeah, we covered that already. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
circle back, but I'm looking at the posters for Home on the Range. The poster has written on it, "Bust a Moo."
God, 2010 was a wild time.
Oh, God. And between that and Barnyard, where the CGI looks like bargain bin Coco Melon. Like,
Everyone, you know what? Everyone was doing everything they could to forget about 9/11.
you know what'll cheer up the American public? Cows.
The cows.
Deployed cows. But you're right, because Lilo and Stitch was like 2002. That came out of that period as well. Like, yeah.
Yes.
But yes, sorry, you were wrapping up and I stepped over it. I apologize.
No, it's grand. No, as I say, the Marvel stuff, a lot of stuff that we know before. I think they spent this time, I think, more highlighting the TV series. So, we know about that the Agatha Harkness show is coming out this year. I think they highlighted Daredevil. I think they showed off something from the Fantastic Four movie, but that's like very early production. There is Star Wars news. That means nothing to me.
The Jude Law show.
There's Jude Law's doing a Star Wars. People are getting Andor season 2.
Nice.
Is any of this making you excited, Cian?
Yeah, I really liked Andor. I wasn't expecting a Star Wars product to get my Fenian rage going, but Andor did it.
What about Mandalorian and Grogu?
I mean, look, I I enjoy that kind of for lack of a better term, the mainline Star Wars period they have in the Mandalorian with Ahsoka and Boba Fett. I'm looking forward to seeing where that all culminates because they've kind of staked their kind of Star Wars reputation on basically laying more interesting groundwork for episode 7. So yeah, they do something there. I'm here for it. I know we won't dwell on it, but I did finish The Acolyte and I thought it was okay, just messy. Like, I don't think it was worth all the hyperbole that was and this spilled ink about it. Like, you know. So yeah, if it's a Star Wars thing and it's good, I'll stick with it. You know.
That's fair. I'm glad it makes you happy. I'm not watching any of this.
Oh my God. I will say, and I told my wife this already, I was watching the final episode of The Acolyte with my 5-year-old. And like, sorry for spoiling this, the reveal comes out that the two sisters, you're not twins. You are force clones of each other. And my little 5-year-old goes, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's great.
We started down the path.
And then the only other kind of two major things. So they've announced, I would say probably the most exciting announcement in this whole thing. They've announced the title for Avatar 3, Fire and Ash.
I was gonna say, what's the next element? Yeah.
Big Jimmy James Cameron throwing money in the wall.
You know what? If I was calling something Avatar, I would not structure the movies around elements. It seems a bit dicey to me.
James Cameron can do what he wants.
Are you singing a Mary Poppins song?
Jim
Drew.
Jim, your old mate, Jim. And apparently we're not waiting 10 years for this one. Apparently it's coming out next year. I'll believe it when I see it.
The Avatar thing, like my brother loves it, and I get why. It's a very immersive like world, and it's great to see in cinema and all that. But like I see the money it generates, and I'm like, I don't know anyone who went to see that movie. Like
I do know people who went to see it, and it was the simple fact of, well, they made it look as pretty as they could for a big screen. I might as well sit down for 3 hours.
Yeah, I know, but I know people who said that about Dune 2, and it didn't do Avatar numbers.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy that like how it's still a phenomenon. I can see how it would have been a phenomenon in 2009.
Yeah.
It's crazy the way Water did as well as it did. What?
3D isn't even a thing anymore. That's what Avatar really launched back in the day.
Yeah, no, it's wild. Yeah, I didn't go see Way of Water in cinema. I might go see Fire and Ash. I don't know. There's something just absolutely fascinating about a global juggernaut being this weird alien like.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, say what you will. It's not a Disney thing. It's not a Marvel thing. It is one, admittedly,
it's James
rich
Cameron
director who has his own crazy vision, and there isn't many people like that anymore, you know?
Yeah, no, I have to respect it. I can't knock the hustle.
Mm.
And then the other kind of major thing that they kind of announced was we're getting a new Tron movie.
Oh, cool.
In Tron Ares.
I actually really love Tron Legacy.
I've never seen a Tron movie.
I haven't been brave enough to watch the original Tron, but the funny thing about Tron Legacy is you watch it, and like even though it's flawed, it's kind of like the blueprint for every single franchise relaunch thing, because it's got all the boxes ticked. Bring back the familiar elements, but update it. Main character is son of previous character. Bring back previous character for nostalgia. Add this in, add that in, have this character come back but be a baddie. You could basically copy and paste it into like The Force Awakens or even like Creed or anything like that. And it did it first and it made no money. So it's just bizarre to me that it's sort of set the standard for the whole industry. Like,
damn. The big reveal being that, because obviously I'd say probably the most notable thing about Tron Legacy was the fact that its soundtrack was just a Daft Punk album.
Oh, but it's really interesting, the music to that. Like,
yeah. That again. My only engagements with Tron Legacy have been the album, because Daft Punk are great, and the Kingdom Hearts 2 level.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. You're right.
But no, so the reveal was that they're getting 9 Inch Nails to score to score the new one.
Oh, they're not a synth band, are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of industrial synth, but yeah.
All right. Well, if that's the new practice going forward, getting a band to do each new soundtrack, I mean, yeah, cool.
Well, I mean, it's they say 9 Inch Nails. It is Trent Reznor, and Trent Reznor has a hit record for scoring movies. Did you listen to the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo score? It's great.
Is that Trent Reznor?
That's Trent Reznor, yeah.
Oh, have I pronounced it wrong this whole time?
I think,
did he do the social media movie?
Yes,
as well?
the Social Network. Yeah.
He's really good. Yeah. Okay. Well, then that has me kind of optimistically excited. Then I would recommend Tron Legacy. By the way, it's that was actually one of the few movies that was actually really good for 3D, because all of the normal world stuff was in 2D. And then the Tron world was not only 3D, but 3D widescreen. So the bars actually opened for like the whole world and all that. And it still kind of holds up on Disney Plus. If you only want to try 10 minutes, just try the 10 minutes that Michael Sheen are in it, because it's Michael Sheen, and that's the 10 minutes where Daft Punk turn up. So you can get a nice sample of the world building and the fighting from that 10 minutes alone, like, you know.
Okay, should I watch the original Tron first?
I've never been brave enough. I'll be honest. I'm sure I'd probably enjoy it if I made myself, but like, I like Tron Legacy so much, I kind of don't want to spoil it. You know, the way, like, but I should give it a go, because like David Warner is in it, and like lots of like really good actors are in it. Like, you know,
watch the two of us come back a week from now being like, yeah, Tron's the greatest movie ever made.
Probably, yeah. I'll be honest, it's not even the special effects, it's the music score I've heard, which is like synthy, Game Boyish type music, you know, where it's all bleeps and bloops. It's not like your cool, like Steven Universe sounding, like what's it called, chiptune sounds that kind of happen nowadays. Like,
yeah, it's somebody thinking they can make a Super Nintendo soundtrack, but not really pulling it off.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know what? You've convinced me. I actually will try and watch it this week.
No, we're not done the episode yet, but tune in next week to Keen's review of Tron.
Oh God, how much time do we have left?
About 15 minutes. That's
a big silence.
Oh, about 15 minutes. I thought you heard me.
In the 15 minutes, then, sorry, you're gonna have to cut that out, Dara. Sorry about that. So in the 15 minutes we have left, I would like to talk about my mad Nintendo journey. But would you like to quickly say anything about Peacemaker or FNAF?
Actually, I would like to bring to you good news from the game industry for once.
Yes, please. Yes,
because I think we've brought it up on the show before, but it feels like every other week, game studios have been getting downsized or just closed with just masses of like staff layoffs. I can't think of a major publisher that hasn't let staff go. So like it's hard to even pick an example, because truly all of the major like American studios have just been dropping staff like flies. And one of the most notable ones that happened there a few months ago was Microsoft shut down Tango Gameworks, which were a fairly new studio, about 10 years old, who produced the Evil Within games, Ghostwire Tokyo, and most notably a game called Hi-Fi Rush, which was just this absolute like small scale smash hit, like really distinctive like 2D animated style, and it's a character action game, but it's also based on a rhythm game, or it's a rhythm based game, should I say? where if you can hit enemies on the beat of the music, it increases the combo meter. It's incredible. I played it recently enough because they finally put it out on PlayStation, and it's great. And this thing was really, really successful, wildly critically acclaimed, won a bunch of awards, and then a couple of months later, Microsoft shut the studio down.
Why though?
Downsizing, money, literally, like that's it. But the good news, it was announced today that you get the name actually. The publisher for PlayerUnknown's Battleground, Crafton Studios, have acquired Tango Gameworks, have acquired the name, acquired the IP, and most importantly, are hiring all of the studio staff back.
Oh, fantastic.
No, they haven't announced any major projects, but they are saying that they will likely keep developing on Hi-Fi Rush. Potentially a sequel or spin-off or something to that effect. But like it's great to see just like any amount of good news about people getting to keep their jobs.
Yeah. And like, cause like I was watching some like videos from Final Fantasy Union about the making of games in general in the late 80s, early 90s. And it was a bit like the filmmaking industry where, you do a project for someone else. And then if you had enough hits, you'd kind of get a blank check to make what you want. I mean, I think that's how Treasure Planet was made, I believe, circling back to that. But I don't think the industry has that much faith in creator-led projects anymore. Like,
no. When you get into the AAA sphere, it's what will make us the most money.
Yeah.
And you will just be put on the Call of Duty mines.
Yes.
For that.
Call of Duty, FIFA, whatever, same game, different date. Like,
yeah, no, like that's where like if it can just generate money consistently, that's where studios are putting the emphasis. But yeah, no, it's great to see that they got that backing, and yeah, delighted for the people that got to keep their job, and I'm also delighted that Hi-Fi Rush is still getting like people's jobs shouldn't be judged by having the most successful game be the only reason your studio is opened. But it was absolutely like everybody agreed it was insane that something as good and well polished as Hi-Fi Rush had a game studio shuttered.
yes.
And so for another studio to be like, "What? You're insane. No, we'll buy that studio off you. You're doing nothing. You're doing this wrong."
All right, well, that has put me in a good mood. Thank you for sharing that.
But yes, Cian, how's the Nintendo Entertainment System doing?
Yeah, just in case you're tuning in now for the first time. Last week, I set myself a project of the Nintendo Switch has all of these old game consoles, the Nintendo, the 64, the Game Boy, whatever. And I thought it was a summer project. There's like 90 games here per console. I should play these and see if there's like any gold gems. So I've literally been going in order. Last week we were in some dispute about whether it was alphabetical or not. I'm not sure because a lot of these are in Japanese.
You showed me the first top lines. I think chaos just reigns. Because if it's not alphabetical, it's actually insane that the original Super Mario Brothers isn't there.
Yeah, if you scroll down, a lot of the most popular ones are on smaller lines with bigger things like Mario and all that. So maybe they're just like lumping in all the ones they don't expect you to play. But for anyone who's following at home, I covered the second row of games on the Nintendo system. I don't know what it's properly called. Last week, I thought we wouldn't get crazier than Donkey Kong Math and Golf and Japanese
Carmelo's pudding challenge.
Dynamite and Innocent Fish. But then Japanese Christian games reared their head. So I'm going to go in order. And I will be sending images to Kev, but maybe if these ever end up on YouTube, Derek would work his magic. So I'm going to cover these very quickly because I know we have 10 minutes. The first one isn't that remarkable. It's called Solar Jetman. It's
Sounds
something that
rad.
goes like popping up a lot in these kind of games, which is you are a spaceship, you have to go fetch a thing and bring it back to where you started. I'm assuming this is because they didn't have many rooms, like much data on the games to include there. I only bring this one up very briefly because there is a cute aspect, which is if your ship is destroyed, you turn into a little astronaut who flies around on his own, and you can get back
That's
to base and like get yourself a new ship. So pretty meh game, but I like little touches of creativity. The one I really fell in love with, and it might be my game of the year, is called Urban Champion. Now, okay, if I was to tell you I'm playing Urban Champion, what would you think this game would be?
I would have to guess some sort of like Double Dragon ripoff, like a 2D like beat 'em up brawler.
You are correct, but there is so much more going on than you would think. So yes, Urban Champion is like two-player like fighting in the streets thing. But you're not like a superhero or anything. You're just a guy. You are literally just a guy in the street fighting another guy. And to hammer home just how mundane this is, occasionally a police car will drive by and both of your characters automatically go to opposite ends of your street and start whistling because they know they're not supposed to be doing it.
gotta break this up. The pigs will come get us.
Exactly. And you're just fighting on a street. Occasionally, it looks vaguely New Yorkish. Occasionally, neighbors will just throw things at you from the upstairs. And if you win, someone turns up and throws confetti to celebrate. It's bizarre, but it's incredibly charming. And I absolutely love that if you manage to like force your opponent back far enough, they can fall down the manhole like things in the streets. So yeah, that was the first game, including last week's one, that I actually enjoyed in the way it was intended.
It is crazy to me that that sounds a little too much like the Yakuza games. Yeah, I mean, you throw a realistic mahjong simulator into that, you've got the guts of a Yakuza game.
Oh my god. Well, I certainly enjoyed the two-player aspect of it because not a lot of these are two players. Next one, fairly kind of generic Pro AM. It's hard to read in this font. Which is just you're a toy car, you're driving around in a circle, like a bit like last week where it was like you were like a toy boat, now you're a toy car. I don't know if it's just because the graphics make it easy to design. But then we get to the good stuff. We've got another good game, which is called Snake, Rattle, and Roll. Based on that title, what do you think this is going to be?
I think I'm just imagining the Nokia game Snake.
You are pretty close. Yes, it is pretty much Snake, except it's in a 3D environment. You start off being a snake's head. There are enemies that will knock things off your tail. You have to eat things to grow a tail. And then when you get heavy enough, you can go on little weighing scales that will open the door to progress to the next level. It's also two players, so you can make it competitive. Considering it's Snake, which is fairly standard, like they've integrated into this 3D environment with bad guys. You can even fall into the ocean, and if you do, a shark starts chasing you, and it does the music from Jaws. So, like, for what is a snake, there's a lot of like creativity on display, which I really appreciate. And if you do two-player, one of the snakes is called Rattle, and the other is called Roll, which I find incredibly charming.
Feels like two of the guys they name each other in Urban Champion.
But now we get to the shocking stuff. So now, what isn't coming across in the medium of audio is if you open the Nintendo system, a lot of these games are Japanese games with weird artwork and no like title below it written in English. So you don't know what you're getting into when you open it. And more than that, and I had to text all of you on Saturday when I found this, Christian Pac-Man.
I need to know what that means. Like
So
you're saying two words to me that make no sense.
okay, so when you look at it on the game, it's just your standard lots of monsters and a Japanese name. It could be anything. You open it and it's called Devil World, and the words "attack the Devil World" pop up. You are going around a standard Pac-Man maze with these like typical ghost things coming after you. The devil is on the top of the screen throwing things at you, and you have to go find like a 9 foot tall cross thing, which will arm you so that you can hold a mini cross and shoot the devil's minions with it. So it's Pac-Man with more steps and Christianity.
Yeah, no, by Jove, Kean, that's exactly what that is.
Like, it's unfortunately, I'm
no.
not expressing just how the levels of shock, because I opened it and it said Devil Man, and immediately I was like, what? And then it said defeat the devil's minions, and you're like, what? And then you go in looking for weapons, and there's a giant cross, and it's honestly, it's a fun game, but I've never. I didn't
just a
expect anything vaguely real worldish hidden inside this Nintendo system.
And you're just a little Christian dinosaur fight. I don't know if you mentioned it as well, but the devil's minions are little Cyclops blorbos.
Oh, they're all super cute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the big shocking one. There's two more, and I know we're kind of up against time-wise. Unfortunately, I can't recommend them or steer you away from them because they've got Japanese names, and we don't speak Japanese. Literally, when you open the second to last one, it's just Japanese words, which is very unhelpful. But it's actually cute. You are a little samurai. It's a sort of like Pokemon-style graphics. You're walking around in a fixed space, and you are just fighting other samurai. I have no idea how you win it, but it's incredibly cute and charming. You're just going around brawling with other samurais on farms. It's like, I know it's not the way. The final one, though, was baffling. Because once again, Japanese name, the artwork is like some guy on a lizard, no clues. That is kind of the fun thing about this. You've just got no clues what's going on. When you open this game, you don't get a title. You get Scene 19, Player 1, Start. This is how the game opens. Scene 19.
Damn, we're deep in Shakespeare here.
Yeah. And you're a little thing, and you're just like jumping up and down levels while an unreasonable amount of monsters run at you. And I don't know if the game was designed that way, but are you still there, Kev? So yeah, whatever this game is, I have no idea, but it's just called Scene 19, Player 1, Start. You just have to run for your life while skeletons come at you. So yeah, that was week 2. I honestly thought that after like week 1, I would hit on a few boring ones and just have to do highlights, but nope. The further in I go, the weirder this gets. And I'm actually kind of not looking forward to when the likes of Mario turn up because I want to keep finding weird surprises in here. Would you play any of these games?
I mean, I'm fascinated. I'm still fascinated by Christian Pac-Man. That's really just I've known about it for nearly a week now, but it's still taking me
because I was tempted not to tell you until this, but I had to talk to someone about this. I couldn't believe it was real.
Yeah, I'm downloading this software now, just even looking like what I'm dealing with here as well.
I think the Nintendo Entertainment System, you don't need the expanded like pass. I think you can get that one with the standard.
No, that's on the cheap one. Yeah, you don't need. Yeah, I think it's like the N64 and the Game Boy Advance. I think you need to pay 50 quid for or something.
Yeah, and I'm looking at next week's row. It's more. Sorry, my son just entered. It's all Japanese games except for what looks like Mario Pinball. So we're in for some weird stuff.
I like pinball. I played that Microsoft pinball game all the goddamn time. I know pinball.
That's true. Well, that's why
Mario, you don't need to tell me no pinball.
Yeah, I mean that's why I'm not being too hard on these because I'm a kid of the 90s who would happily play Minesweeper or like that pinball with the astronaut on it that was on every standard computer in primary school for ages and ages and not get bored. Like,
fun fact: did you know that was a demo for a larger game.
Really?
Yep. And
I've got to
that
know
game,
what was in the larger game.
like 3 more pinball machines, and it did not sell well because everyone thought it was just a built-in game. They did not advertise the fact that there was more of a game to it.
Well, I mean, if you don't advertise it, like, what do you expect people to do? Like,
why is nobody buying our game? People know we're selling a game.
oh my God, I'm looking a bit lower, and some of the box art is way too photorealistic to the point it's slightly uncomfortable. So I'm looking forward to see what on earth could be hidden in those.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I mean, you get back to the old days of you've seen the original Mega Man cartridge, haven't you?
No, I haven't. No.
Oh, hold on, Dara, if you could find a way of putting this in the YouTube thumbnail, or like I think original Mega Man cover should get you there. Or hold on. Okay, I found it by Googling Mega Man ugly. So that's your.
Well, I mean, now you're
that's
just being harsh on the guy.
This guy deserves to be harsh.
Mega Man. Oh, good. Jigged.
Yeah, no, that is a Mega Man. That is.
I mean, no shame,
suit.
but like, if he's going to be running around shooting people,
somebody call the police. Somebody call the urban champion.
yes, in conclusion, Urban Champion is my game of 2024. But if you like Pac-Man and Christianity, I can't even tell you, Devilman is the way to go. With bonus points for Snake, Rattle, and Roll for pure charm.
With
nothing
gusto.
as bad as golf from last week, certainly.
Hey, don't you dare put down Lee Carvella's putting challenge.
No, that game's a masterpiece compared to golf and Nintendo Entertainment System. I just love this. This is so early on in game development. They didn't feel the need for names. Like, the Mario one isn't called Mario Pinball. It's just called Pinball. Like, oh, this is going to be a fun few weeks. Please keep indulging me.
Okay, well, I'll have to stop indulging this because we are just out of time.
Sugar. Well, thank you for taking us on a trip through Disney's terrifying present.
And thank you for taking us on a trip through the deepest recesses of the early 80s.
I'm slightly worried about what other gems are hidden in here that may traumatize me, but how and ever will persevere.
And you, viewer, can persevere as well by checking us out on Spotify and YouTube. All the old shows are still being uploaded day by day, so there's plenty of podcasts to listen to over on the YouTube channel. If you like us, subscribe. We love all that. You can find all of our links on nerdtoknowmedia.com. There also you can find our Patreon. If you like us, you can kick us a few bucks. We'd really appreciate it. Keep what we're doing going. And with that, I've been Kev.
And I've been suffering. I mean, Cian.
And we've been Rattle and Roll. I've been Rattle. He's been Roll.
Podcast Rattle and Roll.
And we will see you again here next week.
All right. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.